Welcome to the daily English news program on Azərbaycan Televiziya. I am Ayana. On October 4th, President İlham and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva participated in the opening ceremony of newly constructed residential complex in the city of Cəbrayıl, where they handed over keys to the new homes to the residents.
The total area of the Cəbrayıl residential complex is 7.9 hectares. Sadıq Sadığov, chairman of the board of the State Housing Development Agency, briefed the president and the first lady on the work completed in the residential complex. The complex comprises 33 residential buildings, including 7 5-story buildings and 26 4-story buildings, with a total of 712 apartments. The construction of the 6-quarter complex has been completed to high standards. In addition to the residential buildings, the area features social facilities, both underground and above-ground parking space, recreational areas, and children's playgrounds for entertainment and sports. The head of state delivered the speech at the event.
Bugün Cəbrayıl şəhərinin azad olmasının 4-cü il dönümüdür. Bu münasibətlə sizi, bütün Cəbrayılları, bütün Azərbaycan xalqını ürəkdən təbrik edirəm.
The liberation of Cəbrayıl holds great significance, as it was the first city to be freed from occupation during the Second Karabakh War. By that time, the war had been ongoing for a week, with nearly 20 villages, including those in the Cəbrayıl district, already liberated. The Azerbaijani armed forces demonstrated true courage, dedication, and valor during the pathetic war, and we will forever be proud of our martyrs, the head of state emphasized. The ongoing work in the liberated territories is of special nature. No other country that has experience from occupation or war has managed to carry out rebuilding works with such speed and quality, because this work is being done according to comprehensive and precise plans, the head of state underlined. Referring to the work being carried out in the village of Horovlu in Cəbrayıl district, President İlham said, "As you know, Horovlu was liberated on the same day as Cəbrayıl town. In a few months, likely in the first half of next year, citizens will also return to Horovlu." Armenia violated all norms and principles of international law by occupying approximately 20% of our lands, conducting ethnic cleansing, committing the Hongili genocide, and destroying all our cities and villages. Has any official representative of a Western state ever criticized them? No. President İlham also stated that the Minsk group was merely covering up these issues, partially justifying the Armenian occupation and pushing Azerbaijan toward a humiliating peace. When we raised our voice for justice on all international platforms, we were told that our words were too harsh. This sharp rhetoric does not bring peace closer, it pushes it further away. There is no military solution to this conflict. In other words, France and other Western states like it were doing everything they could to make this occupation permanent. 60 pro-Armenian members of the U.S. Congress have appealed to the American government to impose new sanctions on Azerbaijan. It is a vile appeal and cannot influence our will. However, what does it show? The policy of hostility against us does not stop. The head of state said, "When I looked at that appeal, I guess that both its author and its addressee are the same, because the addressee is the U.S. Secretary of State. However, I haven't the slightest doubt that this appeal was also written within the U.S. State Department. In other words, they are writing letters to themselves to threaten and accuse us." America imposed sanctions against us in 1992 at a time when our territories were being lost. The sanctions were lifted in 2001. Speaking about the reasons for this, the head of state said, "Their occupation activities in Afghanistan had begun, a war of aggression had started, and they needed us. As long as they remained in Afghanistan, these sanctions were lifted by the American president every year. However, when they fled Afghanistan, right in front of the whole world, these sanctions were reimposed against us." Is there a degree of ingratitude or not? Today, sanctions are imposed on Azerbaijan by America. Afterwards, they say, "Let's strengthen our friendship." What kind of friendship can be discussed? President Ilham emphasized that we must rely solely on our strengths and should not be deceived by any promises, sweet words, or false statements. Armenia has engaged in dangerous games, and they should not forget the history of the Second Karabakh War. Let them not forget the anti-terror operation. They should remember that we achieved what we wanted in that geography. Without regard for anyone or anything, we eradicated the roots of separatism in just a few hours, President Ilham Aliyev emphasized. Our victory, of course, is the greatest asset for our people in our state. I believe it's the brightest military victory in the centuries-old history of the Azerbaijani people. At the same time, this victory also showed that it's possible to fight against injustice. When there is unity among the people, when there is a strong determination, you can be capable of anything. By achieving this historic success, our people showed the way to all suffering people in many other places that is possible. Therefore, the international significance of our victory will only increase from now on, President Ilham Aliyev added. The process of strengthening Azerbaijan both in the South Caucasus and its transformation into an important country in a larger geography will continue successfully. I have no doubt about it. I am sure that our policy dictates that, and our potential shows it. Our power, our political weight, our economic and military power will only increase year after year. I am saying this with full confidence, the head of state underlined.
The City Day is celebrated in Cəbrayıl city with the participation of residents who return to their native lands. According to the decree signed by President of Republic of Azerbaijan İlham Aliyev, on July 31, 2023, the Day of Cəbrayıl city is celebrated annually on October 4th in order to perpetuate the victory gained in the Patriotic War. Towards that, and different events and concerts were organized in Cəbrayıl city. Climate change topics will be integrated into educational curriculum in Azerbaijan. The number of environmentally oriented majors has increased in universities recently. This was reported during the last day of the Baku Climate Action Week. In general, the topics of transition to a green economy, reducing the impact of methane emissions, environmental disasters caused by the shrinkage of the Caspian Sea, the level of society's readiness for climate change, and other topics were discussed at the panel sessions over the course of 5 days. The Baku Climate Action Week brought together local and foreign specialists from various sectors.
Of the inverse of AI and machine learning use cases driving.
An extended meeting of the Parliamentary Committee on Legal Policy and State Building was held. During the meeting, the proposals for improving some articles of the Code of Administrative Offences were discussed. It was noted that the changes in the legislation are adapted to the requirements of society and are aimed at further development of the legal environment. The need to change the legislation to eliminate problems in the field of healthcare and social services, protection of ecosystems was emphasized. According to the draft law, administrative liability is envisaged for violation of legislation in the field of waste management. The draft law on children's rights will be amended. This issue was discussed in the first reading in the Parliamentary Committee on Human Rights. According to the amendments, services in state and non-state children's institutions are adapted to the quality of services defined by the relevant executive authority. The criteria for monitoring the situation are delegated to the relevant executive authority. During the meeting, the participants were informed about the issues discussed at the autumn session. The agenda of the session will include topics such as expanding space of cybercrime and new challenges in the field of human rights protection. Amendments to the laws on fisheries, fauna, environmental protection and on hunting were discussed during the meeting of the Milli Meclis Committee on Natural Resources, Energy and Ecology. It was noted that the current legislation related to the regulation of fishing and hunting activities, protection of wildlife and the environment, and reduction of pollution is being improved. It was emphasized that the change in the draft laws on amendments to the codes of criminal and administrative offences is of great importance in terms of modernizing the legal system. That was all for today. Thank you for being with us.